Tucker Bone appeared to be out here. Is that what's his? It sounded like you had originally thought he wasn't going to be here until like May.
Yeah, I mean, Tucker gets free time, and what Tucker does with his free time is up to him, and so he is here, can confirm that. And yes, all the players here are affiliated with the Sounders in some form or fashion, and I think we're trying to emulate the Seahawks practice. We thought we'd bring 40 guys out the first day, and just a couple generations of Sounders players actually out there right now. But we're going to have some fun in preseason. We're going to get everybody together, and it's as we go forward building this thing from a player development perspective, these are really good moments for these kids.
Just to clarify on Tucker, that doesn't mean he's going to be out here for all of preseason.
Nope. Okay. No, he's got to graduate from the Air Force Academy. That's his priority. That obviously isn't going to happen until school ends, which I think is sometime in May. But same kind of stuff for him to be able to come out and say hello to the guys and stuff and be around the group. I think is really good.
How many players from the academy are training right now?
I would guess 10. That's a rough estimate, but I mean somewhere 10, 12, something like that. I think you'll see us take around that number. I actually bet there's closer to 15 academy kids out here right now, but there's probably 10 or so that we'll take to preseason. And again, that's we started to do that last year already, and we'll keep doing that.
Can you put into words the feelings, the emotions of first day with the fans out here, getting the team all together, everybody on the pitch?
It's fun. I mean, it's amazing. I mean, to have ECS out here, as always, on the first day and have them literally singing. I mean, like, how cool is this job? I mean, you get to come out and fans are singing to your players at practice. And so, it's great to be back. And it's been, the mildest January in history from what I understand here in Seattle. And we're really excited about this season. We finished last year with a bitter defeat to our arch rivals. And, I think we got a highly motivated group, and we can't wait to get back out there and start winning some games.
In terms of getting Bone his service deferment on the world-class athlete program, is that something the club has any control over at all, or is it entirely on the shoulders of U.S. Soccer to ask for his deferment?
This will be an ongoing process, and we will continue to update you as we have more information. I think the most important thing is for Tucker to graduate. Once he graduates, then we'll begin assessing him, and once we see where he is and what we think the timeline is for him, then we'll start working with all the other mechanisms to line things up.
It wasn't that long ago where it would be routine for a handful of seasoned pros who are on trial to be here in the early part of practice. It seems like the team has maybe moved beyond that. Does that say something about just kind of the depth of the roster?
Yeah, or it means we're idiots, right? Either way, it means we brought back a lot of the same guys. So, I mean, we'll the truth will be borne out over the next season. But I think we got 24 back or something like that from last year. So, I mean, we're pretty stable. We're at the mature part of our cycle. All sports are up and down, and we've talked about this is our prime. I mean, we have Ladero and Rui Diaz, who we built the team around, under contract for multiple years. We have, most of our other starters in their primes, and this is something where we think we're really excited about the season, and we feel like it allows us that stability and that experience and that talent allows us to incorporate young players and really bet on talented guys at the bottom of the roster, even if they're a little bit younger maybe than we've used before, and then hopefully we're able to gradually integrate those guys, and that facilitates then the inevitable turn of the cycle 2 or 3 years from now, when maybe those kids are ready to take over.
Is it fair to say that continuity gives you the ability to maybe not be so eager to bring anybody in terms of TAM and DP players?
Yeah, look, I'd say we're always eager to bring guys in, right? We always want to get better, and we always want to improve the squad, but I'd say we got a lot of confidence in this group. We finished with the best half season in MLS history, and since July 1st of 2017, we're right at 1.8 points per game, which is about a 60-point per season pace. So we feel like that's a solid foundation. We think we're set up to succeed from day one here, and again, we're just excited to get back at it and start playing.
A couple of absences here. Waylon Francis and Nuhu. Can you give us an update on their status?
Waylon is with Costa Rica. Nuhu's had some visa issues. So we'll get everybody into camp as they come through. You inevitably get bips and bumps along the way. And, the fact is in Southern California, we're going to have a bunch of guys out with national team stuff still. And we'll get the gang together, though, and we still got plenty of time until opening day.
How nice is it for you and the guys out here to have Jordan Morris back out there training?
It's awesome, man. The kid's really excited, obviously, and he's worked really hard for this opportunity. And, I think just to appreciate the scope of what he's been through. We were looking at this, and we just looked at the recent history, and I said we were about 1.8 points per game since July last year, or since 17, and you realize Jordan Morris has been available for 7 matches in that stretch, so he's really missed the better part of 18 months in terms of being injured. So I think it's really exciting for him. The kid's just really worked hard. He's earned this. He's bought in, and look, I think the one criticism you can make of our team, I'm sure there's lots of criticisms you can make, but the most common criticism last year was we weren't fast enough. So to add an elite player with elite speed is something that arguably addresses our greatest weakness, and I think it's a great fit for us going forward.
I know you said at the draft that you were pretty much expected to take this roster of guys to camp, but as you look toward the summer transfer window, does the new kid sponsorship deal with Zulily, does it feel like it opens up more options for you as you're looking at the player market?
Look, we're really grateful for our partnership with Zulily, really excited about that going forward. I think as the league grows, I think that allows us to keep pace with the growth of the league. And you've seen us make significant investments in the last, not just in the summer, but, in the offseason as well. If you looked at, bringing in Kim Ki-hee as one example last year. But look, we're going to be active, but we're going to be active in trying to bring in really elite players. We're not gonna. We don't feel like we're in a position where we need to compromise and take chances. I think we have a real steady spot and a consistent group, and that allows us to be patient. Again, doesn't mean we're not eager to add and all that, but I just think that we have a lot of guys that gotten the job done here out in the team, and certainly our ownership has always been consistent in saying that whatever resources the organization have, whatever revenue we derive, goes back into the soccer team, and they've been consistent in applying that, and I see no reason that's ever going to change. So that's great for us.
So there's no pressure to bring anybody in the first window that opens up in transfers?
There's always pressure, right? We always want to get better, and you want to try to have competition at every spot. And so, look, we're active, we're looking. No part of this is, nothing will change for the rest of the year, and no part of this is nothing will change between now and opening day. To the contrary, we'll keep looking at stuff internally. The trade market usually starts going in mid-February because everybody comes into camp today, tomorrow, etc., looks at what they have, and then inevitably some things pop up on that marketplace. And so I think you could see some internal movement there, and I also think you could see some external movement in terms of things we're working on. So we'll be looking at it, and we feel confident, and hopefully that's a well-founded position with which to start the season.
Players from Tacoma or the academy out there. Is this about them getting experience with the first team, or is it about them possibly earning that next MLS contract?
I think it's both. So we finally answered your question, by the way. Apparently there are 12. I thought there's 15, Dave. Well done. In terms of yes, it's both. We want them out here to have experiences with our first team. And look, this is just really cool, right? When we have our fans out to the first day of practice and they're singing songs, I absolutely want our kids to be around that and to see that and appreciate what opportunity they have if they're able to get into the Sounders first team at some point. Beyond that, we and Dave, I think you might have, at least I didn't see at the beginning of this, but we talked a little bit and said, we have a pretty experienced group, and I think 24 coming back that we had last year, and so clearly that's not 30, and there are spots open, and those spots will lean toward more talented younger players than maybe that we have historically, just because we feel like the top part of the roster is pretty solid.
You mentioned in exit interviews last year, at the end of the year, that guys are burned out because of the crazy schedule. You get a sense that the squad is energized and rested for not only camp but the start of the season?
Yeah, I just, I don't want to read too much into body language, but the guys came out and they were fired up and they're happy. We get to play soccer, right? You're playing a child sport for a living. There are a lot worse gigs, and to be out here and again have this kind of reception, the guys are pumped. They're ready to get back at it, and that Portland thing that still sticks with you, and I think we got a motivated group to come out and be like, we're not a first-round playoff team. We think we can contend. So that's you sense that from the group, broadly speaking.
There's no Ozzie, there's no Clint opening up this training camp. Does this feel like kind of like the transition into a new era for this franchise?
That's interesting. I clearly we've had a couple of iconic players depart, right? Evans, retiring within the last 6 months as well. So I hadn't thought about it in those terms, but look, because we've been focused on building our platform and building up with our guys and just kind of systematically growing a couple players a window and moving it forward. And we feel like we made progress with the player development as well. But yeah, look, I mean, if you think that when Clint Dempsey was signed, Ozzie was signed, I mean, the academy didn't exist. I mean, or maybe it didn't name, but it wasn't in any kind of practical sense. So, yeah, we've transformed how the Sounders look, and I think we're in a really good position to succeed in the new MLS and in the world market. And those are hopefully all good things and a sign of the evolution, where even as we lose these marvelous players that were with the club forever, that we're still prepared to succeed going forward.
Garth, there's been reporting on both Cristian Roldan and Jordan Morris' contract. Could you shine some official light into those two subjects?
Jordan and Cristian are both signed long-term. So the reporting, at least that I read mostly, is accurate. They're multi-year contracts. They're significant investments. And it's one of the things I'd say is we've committed resources to those guys, young guys who have meant a lot to the franchise, hopefully mean a lot going forward, and that does impact who we can bring in, because we've allocated some resources there. But we feel like those are good long-term choices, and again, consistent with our philosophy that we really want to have a stable core, and we believe that those two guys are both really important to us going forward.
Is there any official details on either one of those contracts in regards to how many years and guaranteed money?
I think we've talked about it already, and the union's going to release the money and all that stuff. So you guys will get that in due time. But I think the important message is just that both those kids, they're phenomenally hard workers. They're what we want on and off the field. They're great ambassadors in the community, and they both bring really elite skill sets for domestic players, and we're excited about them being Sounders for a long time.
So what can you tell us about Ozzie's departure? Or what can you tell to the fans that name him the heart of Seattle Sounders?
Yeah, look, Ozzie had a great career here. He's been amazing, forever, one of the original Sounders, and this is free agency. We talk about the new MLS, and when you're a free agent, you get to pick where you want to play. And Ozzie picked to go to Minnesota, and so we respect that, and that's hopefully a great way for him to finish his career. And that's this world, and this is again, the players fought really hard for free agency. We saw Evans leave to Kansas City a year earlier, and you're going to have this. You're going to have these guys that play for you and do a great job for you, and they choose to go somewhere else, and we respect that, and we wish them well.
How was that final interaction with Ozzie? Was it like a good goodbye, very easy separation from the team, or?
Yeah, I mean, there wasn't when he signs, when he's not physically there, right? I mean, he's at, I don't know, I think it was either in Seattle or in Florida, but he's in touch with lots of our staff members, and so I don't think that part was particularly difficult. I mean, with all these guys, I engage more with the agents than I do with the players. Coach Schmetzer, Chris Henderson, they're going more player to person, in person. But no, I mean, it just do that. You separate business from on field, and that's the way we handle those things. So, but no indication, at least to me, that we had any type of anything other than positive goodbyes.
Do you know if the club has any? Do you know if the club has any plans to honor Sigi Schmid at all this season?
Great question. Thanks, Michelle. Obviously, an icon and a legend, and it was really touching to see the service down in LA and the number and quality of the speakers and the remarks, and just wonderful to see that tribute. And to name the Coach of the Year for Coach Schmid, I think, is also worthwhile. And I think the thing that struck me in all of this was just how many people from every stop along his career got together to celebrate him as a person as much as him as a coach. And that was great. And I don't know that we've gotten so far as formal plans and all that. We wanted the dust to settle a little bit and have him and his family and get the things done that they need to get done. But we'll certainly look at something like that going forward.
Garth, who do you see supplementing what Ozzie brought to the team in terms of attitude and just the overall attitude that he instilled into other younger players? Do you think Cristian will take over that role?
I'm a big guy. I don't know that you need to do this stuff like for like. This, if you had one guy doing something, I don't know you need to appoint one guy and be like, all right, this is, you got to, do I think Cristian has some of those qualities? I do. If you look at where we are on paper today, we went to the final in 2017 with the pairing of Svensson and Roldan in the middle there, and you can at least make an argument that, if, for example, you play Jordan on the right side, obviously those decisions will get made by the coaches. You're better in two spots in the sense that you've added your pace, you've made your attack more diverse, and this is a group that scored more than 2 goals a game with Victor on the left and Nico in the middle and Raul up top. And now you're putting Cristian in the role where he's most comfortable and most strong as well. So we tend to look at it more like that, from a group setting of how do we get the best group. And in terms of that fighting spirit and that tenacity that you're referencing, I think that comes from within, and it doesn't have to be one person necessarily setting that tone, but it has to be the group's commitment. And look, if you have a guy like Ladero in your group, this is why, for me, he's so exceptional. I mean, whether it's the first day of training today or an MLS Cup final, his effort level is the same. He never stops. And we say all the time, you can't hide. There's nowhere to hide out here, because arguably our best player is the one that's working the hardest. And when you set that tone in training, you're going to get the same tone in games. And certainly under Coach Schmetzer's leadership, we've been consistently combative, in the sense of instilling in our guys that maximum effort is important. You guys have sat in multiple press conferences and listened to Coach Schmetzer recite the duels and the challenges won and stuff like that. And that's something that he holds as very important, and I can't imagine that changing going forward.